All right, here we go. It's 9:30. I'm excited about what we've got for you today, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I appreciate everyone taking the time to join us this morning for our first ever Community Green as part of our 19th annual Municipal Green Building Conference and Expo. It's pretty amazing that for 19 years, we've brought together the green building community here in the greater LA region. This year has been a challenging year for us in so many ways, and we were really honored that we could do it again this year. And way back at the end of 2019, which seems like a decade ago now at this point, we had picked equity, as the theme for this year. Little did we know what that would come to mean in the months to come. And as we began to think about equity and what that really meant, we felt that we really had to add a day to engage the public to this year's conference, that we really should be from the beginning. We can't just be speaking to ourselves every year. We need to really think about how do we engage everyone in our communities. That's part of equity, to really have these conversations around buildings, around sustainability. And as we thought more about that, we realized it was going to take a greater commitment from us to our community. And that's how we got to these sub-themes this year of commitment, community, equity, because this is really part of the foundation of who we are. And I want to also kind of acknowledge where we're at right now. I like this image here for the kickoff today that you'll see here on the left, partially because I feel like that's kind of where we're at right now. We're in that murky water right off the beach. It's turbulent. We're being pushed around. We can't really see what's ahead. We've left that comfortable feeling of the sand behind us. But you're also at that time where we need to keep pushing through. If you've been in the ocean, you know that until you get past that turbulent water right at the shore, things don't calm down. And so that's what we're in right now. And it's going to take that commitment to community to do that. And it's going to take that commitment to equity to get there as well. And so we're incredibly proud of the program we put together for you, not only yesterday, but today. And today we had a little bit more of a hand in the content that we developed as well. And thinking about what we have for you in store, there's a few things that I really want to highlight. We have a workshop session that's starting after our keynote this morning that's really focused on what our frontline workers are going through in our janitorial community, what their experience has been through this pandemic. And they're also a part of our community. We also have a workshop that's highlighting this new training we're launching here in the next couple months around drought tolerant and native landscaping for the sole proprietor gardeners, for the folks who are out there working in the sun, trying to give them the tools so they can do their work more sustainably and understand the context of the work they do. This is modeled after our Green Janitors program with our partners at Building Skills Partnership, and we're really excited to get that program going. Also have to take a moment to really think about, a lot of us may be involved in designing buildings, doing the engineering, thinking about how to make those buildings more sustainable, but there have been people who've been building those buildings this whole time and dealing with changes in how they have to be safe on site and dealing with the worry of not knowing what they're getting themselves into every day. And so we need to make sure that we think about them because they're also part of our community. And I think we also need to be present. This is a time when people are thinking about the health of the spaces around them in a way that they haven't before. And this is an opportunity for us to embrace that and to embrace that thirst for knowledge, that thirst for understanding of what does it mean to be in the space I'm in now. But at the same time, we have to continue to focus on our mission. We're feeling the impacts of climate change in a greater way. Just in the last week, we've all been touched here in California by fire again in many ways. And there used to be a time when some of us hadn't really experienced that, but I think all of us have a family member now or someone who's been through something that's been traumatizing them from the fires we've been experiencing. And, we can have a hand in making that better. The common thread I want to draw on here is that the built environment really connects everything. And if we can improve the built environment and make it more sustainable, make it more resilient, it can actually help us create a more sustainable society because it is the backbone of our society in many ways. And I'm going to be giving some space here to our friend Tobias Tubbs here in a moment. But his story for me just illustrates so much. He's one of the team involved in our Legacy project this year, which is a community project that we put money into and that our volunteers and members help build out. And, it was all about, for him, started with growth, with nature, with that sunflower in the desert. And, we all need to be inspired by that because we can all be reborn. And this is a moment when our society is looking at that in many ways right now. And so at our first ever Community Green, I don't have a lot of time with you today, but I want to share a couple things in that it's so important that we vote. We've had the last couple of weeks where people have been sharing with us, and for those of you who watch the convention or not, the most important thing is that we vote. There's few things that can have as much of a dramatic impact on our fight for climate change or for social and racial equity as who we elect in the coming months. So please vote and talk to other people so they vote too. And I also want to make sure we remind ourselves to take the time to connect. This whole experience has been very dehumanizing for us in many ways, but we need to be present. We need to take the time to have a conversation and meet people where they're at and help someone if we can. Because in the day, we're all people and we're all experiencing something right now that's unprecedented for us in many ways. And as I said in the last slide, this is a time where the market is shifting, society is changing. This is a time for us to be inspirational. If we collectively imagine a future that's better than the past, we can inspire those around us to do something different. And so remember to take that moment and inspire where you can, but also acknowledge that this is going to mean we're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to work differently because things have changing, and we have to take care of ourselves. I think we've been forgetting that too much these days, because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't do this work together. And so with that, my name's Ben Stapleton. I'm the executive director here for the U.S. Green Building Council, Los Angeles. At the end of the day, our organization is about people, about passionate, practical people who are working together to transform our region into a more sustainable region for all. We really want to make this organization the best place for anyone to come to learn the why, the who, the how of living sustainably, because we can't go back to the past and we can't continue to do things the way that they were. And our members, our volunteers, our community believes in creating a more sustainable built environment through education, innovation, and impactful action. And there's a variety of things that we're doing right now to try to really make that happen. The first of which is we launched our talent portal in March. We're working on building an industry hub for green jobs, for training, for recorded content. We feature local employers. We have a mentor network. We have a green building corps starting next month of volunteers that are going to get experience and connections to help them in their career going forward. So I invite you to please check out our talent portal. Many of the recordings from this conference will be up there in the weeks to come. This year, we also launched a local Green Schools initiative, really focused on a holistic approach to schools. We're doing education for not only the students, but for the parents and the teachers. We're doing our Green Janitors education program on site with our partners at Building Skills Partnership. And the goal is to help those schools save energy, water, and waste. And you can be involved. You can apply to be a Green School speaker. You can request a speaker for your school, and you can even just get involved in our committee and have an impact on that work that we're doing. In June, we also launched our Healthy Building Alliance. We've been working on this program for a year now, just recognizing that the conversation around providing healthy space was oftentimes too complex and too expensive for a lot of people. They really just needed a framework to think about that. And so that's what we put together today. And this is commitment to 5 principles around air quality, green cleaning, access to nature, inspiring movement, and water testing. Any tenant can do this. Any building owner, any lessor of office space. It's really meant to be accessible for anyone, and we'll really help you on your journey. So please sign up today if this is something you're interested in finding out more about. And this year, we also have our second cohort of our Net Zero Accelerator. We launched this program last year to really help get innovative technology to market faster that can have an impact today. And so we pilot and promote technology to really help us get to a net positive future. Zero carbon, zero energy, zero water, zero waste. This year we had over 160 companies from around the world apply, and we selected 17 companies, and we're just diving in right now to really working at how can we get pilots going on a local level for those companies. And you can be involved as an advisor or a pilot partner. And then lastly, we have committees that meet monthly on a variety of topics that may speak to you. So whether that's corporate sustainability, advocacy, that could be in education and decarbonization of our buildings. These are ways for you to get engaged really on a monthly basis and have an impact on things that matter to you. We also you have a construction committee that's done a lot of work this year really around furthering issues along the lines of construction waste, advocating locally and making an impact. We're here to help emerging professionals. Our Women in Green group, it's probably no surprise, is always our strongest committee and is one of our most active. And I'm always awed in joining those meetings just by the strength and the power of those women who are in the room. And we can't do the work we do without your support. So please consider donating if you can by texting GREEN to 707070. We have a small nonprofit team, and anything you can give, especially in a year like this, really means a lot to us and is very much appreciated. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our annual sponsors who support the work we do on a day-to-day basis. They really make it possible for us to do the work that we love. And I want to say thank you to our conference sponsors this year. A lot of familiar faces there. I really appreciate them sticking with us, and in some cases even stepping up their support in a challenging year where we're trying to do something very different to connect with people. And please check out our exhibitor booths. We're all living through a new experience, and these folks have stepped up and come out here and really want to connect with people who could benefit from what they have to offer. There's some great companies that are here with some really interesting solutions. So I'd ask you to go check out the exhibitor booth when you have a moment. And I want to say thank you to our community partners. So many great organizations joined us this year and have a presence here either through a booth or help promote the event. Really, it's just a pleasure to work with them throughout the rest of the year as well. And we can't do the work that we do without them. And in my final moment with you, just really wanted to share that be engaged. That's really the most important thing for all of us right now. You're here because you're probably interested in creating a more sustainable future. And there's a lot of ways you can do that. Become a member, join a committee, be a mentor, volunteer, support an initiative that speaks to you, and ultimately build yourself, because by building ourselves, we'll shape the future. And with that, I'd like to introduce Tobias Tubbs, who's one of the leaders in our legacy project this year. He's the chief ambassador of the Insight Gardening Program, the Catalyst Program, and Words Uncaged of Lancaster Programming Facility. He's also co-authored the book Human, a book aiming to break the criminal stigma and dehumanization of people incarcerated. After 28 years in prison, Tobias, sentenced to life without parole, was released in October 2018 when former Governor Jerry Brown commuted his sentence. His work with Words Uncaged continuously tackles prison prevention, reentry, and transitioning by implementing programs and art galleries that engage the philosophy of narrative therapy. Currently, Tubbs is the facilitator of narrative therapy-based reentry healing and collaboration circles that offer a communal space for reentry, people to discuss their struggles and successes through urban-based narrative therapy. As an artist, Tobias is also a gardener and a landscaper. We're honored to have him here with us today, and I hope that after he speaks with us for a few minutes, you take the time to view his workshop at 12:30 today on the Legacy Project. With that, over to you, Tobias.
Good morning. My name is Tobias Tubbs, and I think, feel, and imagine myself green. Yes, green. The acronym, the haiku, the mantra, the sacred and holy hymn. Excuse me? Of course, also sacred and holy her. Hold on for 1 minute. Just hold on for 1 minute. Let me give you a little backdrop here, a little content. I'm a young country boy from South Carolina, one who grew up in a place called Orangeburg, a place of cotton fields and sunflower fields and watching deer and squirrel and butterflies and bees. Came to Los Angeles as a young person, a juvenile, adolescent, and I was given a death sentence. Life without the possibility of parole and sent to a desert. Matter of fact, it's called Imperial Valley. Just last week, it was 130 degrees. So my whole childhood, my whole adolescence, 20 years in Calipatria, California, a place called Death Valley, it was a desert and there was no green. Once again, I think, I feel, and I imagine myself green. So my only solace, my only escape of the horrid environment and the horrors of the condition was to imagine myself or create worlds inside of my own mind. And so today I will share with you one in which I call the acronym GREEN. G. In the beginning, God said, keep the garden. But they said I was the rotten fruit. They discarded me from heaven and they sought to damage my precious roots. Maybe someone will compost me so one day I can help America's most challenged youth. Lend me your empathetic ear. Let's talk about some difficult truths. Or radiation. Why do they hate my black body? Have they forgotten? black body radiation, electromagnetic frequencies that birth color into every nation. In the center of the color spectrum is green. So may we all come together in just me. I say E, electromagnetic energy. Energy is information, but information is also energetic. So we can never die. I say that we can never die. We only transmit ourselves into different dimensions. So I escape back into the heavens. Thank God for my roots. I'm back into the garden, a whole and perfect fruit. And in, the goddess Net is at work. Some call her Athena, Chokma, and Hikmah. If you will, she's the grandmother of the universe, and she fills me. She empowers my heart with the infinite capacity to love you with elasticity. Yes, she feels me because they thought they killed me. He said he can't breathe. So now we take a deep breath. And lastly, at the intersection of all the colors is green. This is our divinity taking action through human creativity. Lord, forgive me. The devil has deceived me, and we have now grieved thee. So as I sit within this desert, I think, I feel, and I imagine myself green. Thank you, and we welcome you to today's event, and I'm excited for our sister Kimberly to do her stuff. Thank you. My name is Tobias Tubbs. Think, feel, and imagine yourself green.
Thank you, Tobias. Thank you for your art and your passion and your service. And I can think of a few things to better lay the table for today. That was amazing. Thank you, sir. It's a tough act to follow, Kimberly. But with that, I'd like to introduce Kimberly Lewis, who's the Senior Vice President for Market Transformation Development in North America at the U.S. Green Building Council. Kimberly is laser focused on diversity, inclusion, equity, and advancing transparency and excellence within the green building market. She directs all of USGBC's market development through local communities, members, volunteers, and emerging professionals, delivering on USGBC's mission to improve the quality of life for all through more sustainable cities and communities worldwide. She was the founder of the Green Build International Conference and Expo and launched the USGBC Women in Green Leadership platform events. She serves as the governance chair on the board of directors for Groundswell and was the former chair of the board of trustees for the Green Building Foundation. In April of 2011, Kimberly received prestigious recognition as the White House Champion of Change for Clean Energy. And with that, Kimberly Lewis.
Blessings. Thank you, Ben. And just Tobias, I want to say God does all things well because there is an innate connection. My dad is a Southern guy, 10 brothers from the low country of Loris, South Carolina, where the Lewis Street is one of the main streets there. I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you. Shout out to USGBC LA for bringing your voice, your journey, and your experience. We live it out every day. God bless you as you move forward. I want to give a whoop whoop to my green building people. I usually see you face to face. So whether I want you to give a shout out to your spouse, to your partner, to the creations that may be running around, my nieces, I call them, and nephews creations, or to any furry friend that is your constant companion in these times. But I'm excited to be here on behalf of the U.S. Green Building Council, our board of directors, and my CEO, who was supposed to be delivering this time slot, Mahesh Ramanujan, to really talk about USGBC 2.0 and what I call our ability to serve with joy. Healthy people, healthy spaces, creating a healthy economy, a healthy quality of living for all. But as we know, I always speak from a place of my own journey. I am a native Baltimorean, and I am a minister of the gospel, having taken that helm on from my dad. So I got 15 minutes. I'm going to try to be succinct. But as my dad says, on any good football Sunday, even though football is coming up next and the men are waiting to run out of the church building, I have 7 points today. Ben, I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to stick to those 3, and I'm going to try to get us moving for all of the good content in the afternoon. But I really want to talk about serving with joy, and talk about energy as both a spiritual and moral progress, how we use our power well, give a vision for tomorrow, and then talk about abundance. Let there be light. In biblical terms, light was God's first creation, the first source of energy. The evolution of humanity's use of energy is the story of our spiritual evolution and moral progress as a civilization. Once upon a time in America, our cities were lit with oil harvested from the mass killings of whales. Beautiful living creatures slaughtered, among other reasons, to keep the lights on. Burning fuel we found in the ground represented an enormous leap forward if we measure our progress by moral standards. Over the centuries, access to new forms of energy has allowed us to do more, power our homes and businesses, even when it is dark and cold or overwhelmingly hot. More light, greater comfort has meant more jobs, more economic opportunity, more progress. But this progress we have experienced has not been without its moral challenges. We didn't know when we started burning fossil fuels that how we were getting the energy we needed to propel ourselves ahead would make us sick and threaten our world. Now we know. Or at least some know. I'm thinking about some of my old crusty deacons that continue to give me the side eye, but we're working on them. We know that the link between burning fossil fuels and climate change becomes more and more clear, and we have begun to turn our attention to new sources of energy. We know that example is solar. We are blessed that the science and technology that enables us to harness the power of the sun have advanced rapidly, even as we have struggled to convince the world of the trouble with fossil fuels. Solar energy is clean, abundant, and God's first creation. I speak on clean power is moral progress. But this enlightenment is not enough. We must use power well. The moral imperative of energy efficiency is to use what we have been given in abundance well, so that it will be multiplied. How does this relate to sustainable, resilient, healthy, and equitable communities? Equitable being that outcome. I am reminded of the parable of the fishes and the loaves. Abundance and with no waste. After all had eaten of what began as 2 fishes and 5 loaves to feed 5,000 men, all my women in green ladies out there, they never counted us and the children in the Bible. The disciples gathered up all the crumbs, and there were 12 baskets full, 1 per disciple left. Use what we have been given in abundance well, and it shall be multiplied. Let's talk about energy from the perspective of equity. Energy is money, and money is power. And anytime you make a shift from an old industry to a new one, and the wealth of that old industry is threatened by a new paradigm, it is deeply, intensely political. In 2014, the combined market value of more than 1,400 oil and gas companies listed on stock exchange worldwide amounted to about $5 trillion. And that didn't even include privately held firms. That same year, the value of the global renewable energy market was estimated at about $476 billion. The value of the energy efficiency industry is slightly more difficult to quantify. We're working on it, but it's safely within the hundreds of billions of dollars. And we are a part of that new clean energy economy. Economic power is linked to political power, not only in terms of who makes decisions and who has access and influence to decision makers, but the industries with economic power will always fight to keep what they have and will exercise their economic power in the political sphere. And we know we've seen that through systems and structures, and it's why we're focused as a strategy and really peeling back the onions of how our influence as the built environment can affect systems and structures. This power dynamic is reflected, as I said, in institutions, and it's true at every level of government and private industry. But every period of transformation presents tremendous opportunities for new and emerging communities, new and emerging leaders to step forward. As an old paradigm is being challenged and a new one created, there is wide open space to invite new voices to the global conversation and to acknowledge and seed the leadership table. What is pandemic, social unrest, and this overall period of change? It has set the stage for a new paradigm shift. We're not looking back. At USGBC, we are on a listening and learning tour to more fully understand our role, historically, foundationally, as well as other big environments, and the role of sustainability and equity. The story of our future has not yet been written. We can write a better story. The future can be far different from the past. Thinking back to the examples of clean energy as we move forward with new technologies around building science, design, net zero, and net positive buildings, we must ask ourselves, are we creating access? Are we creating capacity to build affordable, equitable, and to scale? A wise spiritual leader once said, if you do not change direction, you may end up where you're heading. In order for us to progress in a morally responsible and positive manner, we need to take stock of where we are today so we can change direction in a way that makes sense for everyone. So let me paint you a picture. My grandfather worked in Bethlehem Steel as well as the Orioles Cafe. 1 week into retirement, he was diagnosed with black lung cancer. He never experienced his retirement because he died 6 months later. Worked 2 jobs to advance his family and to make it possible for me to sit in the seat of influence that I have today. But my experience is exceptional. 40 years ago, Baltimore's community was connected and people were invested in each other. They worked together, they lived and moved and were responsible in spite of the challenges. Baltimore is not unlike any of the other urban cities that we're seeing gentrification, transitioning, people being left behind. What was once a 30,000 row house is now 300,000, 400,000, 500,000 plus. It's an undeniable economic force that is pushing poor people out. For people of color in Baltimore and all over the United States, if you're born poor, you're more likely to die poor, and you die 10 to 13 years sooner than your affluent neighbors. Upward mobility is limited and health indicators are poor. The Baltimore economy is built on eds and meds and travel. If you're not in any of those industries, good luck. I'm still invested in Baltimore, and I do see a pathway forward that's so intricately involved in the power that you all, our green building, our building industry, our clean energy community harness every single day. We need to teach. We need to push forward apprenticeship. We need to create pathways for our children to see an expected future that's beyond what they see outside their doors every day. I'm thinking about my cousin Aaron, who's a retired professional football player from Penn State, and he is back in Baltimore teaching young kids. But before he could actually even get in, he was seeing the state of our schools and kids that he was talking and connecting to huddled under blankets because the heating system was just not stable enough. Safe, healthy, and productive communities come from opportunities. Our children see an opportunity based upon their frame of reference. The frame of reference is what they see around them and experience every day. So I envision a world where every child sees opportunity and benefits for shared abundance, where the harsh realities of race in America become less pronounced and dangerous, and what has become well known as white privilege evolves and equalizes. And I'm going to connect with white privilege in the terms of my spiritual and moral space of speaking on compassion. Eliminating white privilege is not about giving one race less to offer more to the other. It is about creating true equality as brothers and sisters. It is having empathy and taking action. Share what we have. Share power, share knowledge, share access, jobs, share power in abundance. So with compassion, we look around and embrace those who are not living joy. Here, all across our nation, whether it's Flint, Michigan, South Carolina, folks are still drinking and showering in tainted water today. Compassion for the basic needs people are suffering through is what we need. So for today, Black men, whether it be innocence or one mistake, their life can shift forever. And I envision a world where we can give more to each other than we ask in return, including our patience and the benefit of the doubt. There's a snowballing effect that's hard to overcome, and no problem, economic, social, or political, exists in isolation. Never be fooled. Our sustainable future is intimately connected to our social future, our racial future, and so much more. Building better, building resilient, building equitable, building healthy and well, moving from buildings to communities to cities, first begin with people. So I just want to bring all of this in to give a level set of what's in the room when I talk about tapping into abundance. We need to understand abundance on a local level economically so that we know what we're working with. In Los Angeles, the median household income is $58,385. Where I am in Washington, D.C., it's $82,604. I want you to look around yourselves in your own homes. If your home value is $100K, and usually when I'm in a room, I ask people to raise their hands, I just want you to acknowledge you are wealthier than 90% of your brothers and sisters. If your home income is $200K or more, you are wealthier than 98% of your brothers and sisters. I always tell our green building folks, we're always advocating, we're working hard, we're the middle class. No, we're the elite. We may not be high rolling like Beyonce elite, but we are elite. Know where you stand and how you can help. This is the basic premise of loving your neighbor as you love yourself, practically speaking. It's not just about buildings. Identify what you can do individually, given your professional role, and think bigger. It's not either or, it's both and. Share power with your neighbors. If you're integrating renewables, microgrids, batteries, all these abundant new technologies, connect them to the neighborhood. Anchor institutions, stand up. Don't keep all the goodness to yourself. Leverage your supply chain. If you believe in the importance of diversity and the strength it builds, put your money where your mouth is. Teach. Workshops, apprenticeships, educational tours. It's more than a lead credit. The divide between those who know and have and those who don't can be enormous, and it takes patience and work to bridge this gap. After 17 years here in the green building community, trickle down does not work fast enough. I'm calling on all of my peeps. We will finally get beyond the four walls to return the power back to the people. As I leave you with this scripture, now unto him who is able to do more abundantly than all we ask or think, according to the power that works within us, you work your works, you follow the call that has moved forward and pushed us not to look back, but keep thinking bigger, and we will get it done. God bless, and thank you, Ben. I know I went over.
Thank you, Kimberly. I'm humbled by your words and to have you here with us today. And I also feel your call to action. And I just want to say thank you for your message. Incredibly grateful to have both you and Tobias here with us this morning, and for really level setting us for what we really need to be doing in the days and months to come. So thank you very much. All right, folks, our day is upon us. We have our first session of workshops starting now. You'll see that up on the screen. I hope you choose something that speaks to you. I mentioned earlier we have the voices of our frontline workers, our green janitors here in one workshop. We have a workshop on how to harness nature to improve your own health and wellness, an incredibly important issue right now. And then we have a workshop on getting started with electric vehicles. People can figure out how to bring more electrification into their lives. With that, thank you. Enjoy your day. Thank you again to Tobias and to Kimberly. And thank you to all of you for taking time on a Saturday. And be well.